There's a show, it's reality TV, but essentially they send these couples away on an island type thing, and so with their actual partner, and then they'll recreate with AI actors, they'll recreate a scenario where you watch an AI version of your partner cheating on you.
When you're going to nature walks, what interests you? Is there like a certain angle that you pose in your pictures? How do you go about doing that?
I really want to give people the idea that, like, if you went there today, this is what you could see, and it really looks like this.
Hello guys, today we have Dylan Benson, an Instagram connection and father, photographer, content creator, and author. How are you, brother?
Well, and you?
Very good, very good. You've had a decent drive to come here, actually, from a different sort of across the sea per se.
Across the sea, yeah, in Nanaimo on Vancouver Island. So
Yeah.
just ferry boat over here, and then 25-kilometer ride, but we're here and happy.
Yes, sir. We're gonna get into this. So the introduction that I gave you, it's actually, there's so much to sort of just uncover there. So you're an author, content creator, photographer. Can you just sort of walk me through how all of those came about to be?
So I started doing content creation about 5 years ago. My life was kind of at the lowest point that it had ever been. 11 years ago, my wife passed away when my son was born, and I had a pretty rough 6 years there. And I had a failed relationship after that. And after that relationship failed, I really was feeling pretty hopeless in life. And so I decided to change everything about my life. And so I decided to walk 20,000 steps a day for a year. And when I was doing that, I started taking photos everywhere I went. And it kind of gave me a new lease on life, and I started really appreciating the beauty that was all around me. I took up hiking a lot, and just going everywhere with my son and just doing lots of hiking. And so I found that getting outside really, it changed my life, and it saved my life, really. I went from not seeing the beauty in life at all to now really appreciating it every day and wanting to just get out and see more. And so I started sharing my photos, and it just kind of picked up from there. Originally, for the first 10 months or so, I saw really no growth, but I wasn't really trying to be a content creator. My photos were getting shared by pages that were larger than mine, in whatever tourism boards and things like that. And I was super grateful for that at the time. It blew my mind, as somebody with 500 followers, that a page with 30,000 followers would share your photo. I thought, wow, that's so cool. And eventually I met my now wife. I was living in Victoria at the time, and she was living in Nanaimo. And we met on Instagram. We chatted for 3 weeks. Basically, we video chatted every day for about 7 hours a day. And we just knew we wanted to be together. And so I picked up my son, and we moved from Victoria to Nanaimo, and moved in with my now wife, Mariko. We got engaged after 3 weeks, and I moved in with her and her daughter. And at the time, she had a business that was basically supporting, a marketplace supporting local artisans. And so she put some of my photos up online for sale, and people started buying them. And so it really kind of was like, wow, people think my photos are, because I just use my phone for all my photos. So I'm a photographer, but and I have a regular camera, but really everything I've ever done is all with my phone. And I didn't think, could you do photos well enough that somebody would want it in their home or their office? And then people started ordering large prints, and I was super nervous at the beginning of, will they blow up well enough that somebody would be happy with this when they receive it? But they were. And over the last 5 years, my page has grown to more than 60,000 followers on Instagram, and about another 30,000 on other platforms in total. And so it's just been growth of just continuing to get out and hike, but really more than the hiking, that's my handle is Better with Adventure, because my life got better with adventure. But it's been sharing that journey of my mental health growth over the past 5-6 years, hoping to inspire others to get outside, and now just as our life has grown and changed, and I've kind of become a content creator, it's allowed lots of opportunities for our family to go and have some great experiences. And so it's sharing those. And when I partner with, accommodations that want to do a giveaway, it allows somebody else to go and kind of have that same experience, which is, it's a great feeling to be able to do that.
That's amazing. That's a inspiring story, and I'm sorry to hear that your wife has passed away 11 years ago. I'm sure it was tough, but I sort of want to actually right now jump into the 3 weeks that you guys were FaceTiming with your now partner for like 7 hours a day. How did that click happen? How does that click like really resonate with you?
Yeah, I mean, it was so interestingly enough, I had done marketing of some kind, either social media or affiliate marketing or affiliate management for years. But at the time, I was just working for ICBC, and I had noticed that she had liked some of my posts over time, and so I had DM'd her one day and said that, because basically at the time she was basically a support local champion, was supporting lots of small businesses and always trying to promote them, and so I had DM'd her to just say, I like what you're doing, and she said thanks, and then one day she made a post, as we know, like the algorithm is always changing on social media, whatever changes daily. But so sometimes you hear little tidbits of, oh, I've heard that, saves are the most important thing right now. And so she had asked, hey, would everybody like save this post? I want to see if it starts doing better than other posts. And so I saved it, and then I DM'd her, and we chatted. And at the time, I think I just had a nature photo as my profile picture, and she would, occasionally had received DMs from dudes that were like unwanted or whatever. So she didn't know that I was a dude, and she thought. So anyway, we were chatting, and then eventually, I was walking home that day, and I said, do you want to jump on a call? And so we jumped on a video call, and I knew that she was gorgeous, but she hadn't really seen me. And so immediately there was an attraction there. But I wasn't really doing it with the intention of, like, oh, hey, I hope this turns into something, because we lived in different cities. But there was just an immediate connection. And so we just started chatting. We just stayed on a video call. I basically like chatted with her on my way home from work, and then put my son to bed at 7:30, and then we would just chat until after midnight, and then I'd wake up in the morning and call again before work, and then on my breaks. And it was just one of those things that the separation, us living in different cities, not being able to see each other, and both being single parents, meant that like we were going to be at home because our kids were in bed. And so what else is there to do but get online and really form that connection? And so we spent weeks just doing like all the cards on the table. Here's everything you could ever want to know about me, like the good, the bad, literally everything that's ever happened, and kind of, if you take me with my airport full of baggage, and you're still wanting to, like continue talking, then that's great. And so it didn't take long before we fell in love.
Yeah, that's a good approach of just, giving the good and the bad, because sometimes you see on social media, I don't know, I guess the newer generation, they want to portray themselves as like perfect and no flaws or whatever the case is, but there's always the bad side as well.
There is. I think that, you're lucky if you live a life that you've never had any complications, or you've never gone through any hard times, or there's nothing you've done to be embarrassed about. I think that, a lot of people have, whether it just be mental health challenges that you've gone through, or really difficult times, or some people have gone through whatever, loss or addiction, or bad breakups, or anything like that. And I think that those experiences kind of form who you are. And if you don't share, I don't know, it's kind of, I feel like if you don't kind of rip off the Band-Aid and expose the wound, you don't give it a chance to heal. And so also, if you're going to form a real connection with somebody, they kind of have to know the whole you, right? It's easy to put forward your best foot all the time and have somebody fall in love with this perfect version of you that you've put forward. But then what happens when you have a bad day and you're really struggling? If you've never set the expectation that sometimes you're going to have bad days, somebody doesn't know how to kind of deal with those when they happen. So if you say, like, you can judge me if you want, but my life, what's happened in my life has happened, and I can't be whatever, I just have to accept it and move forward. And so having somebody accept you for all of your flaws, if you want to call them that, but also all of the good parts of you, it's a wonderful feeling to not have any secrets to hide and just be able to keep going.
100%, 100%. Diving into the sector of your photographies, how do you go when you're going to nature walks? What interests you? Is there like a certain angle that you pose in your pictures? Like, do they have a certain structure? How do you go about doing that?
Yeah, for me, it's been I really like to give the people who are viewing my photos. So I essentially I just use my phone, as I mentioned, and I don't use Photoshop. I don't use Lightroom. All of my editing is via the default app. And some editing in Snapseed, but that's really just like adding some contrast to specific parts of the photo. But I really want to give people the idea that, like, if you went there today, this is what you could see, and it really looks like this. And so I don't spend more than 10 minutes, mostly 5 minutes editing any photo. I don't have the time or the desire to spend an hour editing a photo. When on social media, I mean, there's the difference between great photos and not great photos. And then you can tell a super professional photographer that has exquisite photography, but really at the end of the day, I mean, if it's beautiful, people are going to like it. And so you could spend a lot of time, extra time editing, but what's the payoff if you're not going to be selling that photo? So I'd rather keep that time for myself and still share it. But I really want to give people the idea that if you went there now, this is what it looks like.
So what phone do you have?
I have an iPhone 16 Pro Max.
Top of the line. This is filmed on Pro as well. So, I mean, they're very good cameras.
Yeah, they are. And I upgrade every 2 years so I had the 14 and the 12 and the 10 XR. But I mean, they're great. And as the technology continues to move forward, I mean, when you look back, even 8 years ago, and you see somebody's photo and you're like, yeah, like, what, did you take that with a potato? Right? It's like they look so terrible. Well, it's come so far now that lots of people can't tell the difference between, a professional camera and an iPhone.
Do you take photos with like the default settings, or are you going, like, when you get the phone, you go into the nitty gritty and change some stuff there?
Pretty default. Yeah. I just, I don't really, as I said, I really want people also to give people the idea that, photography, a lot of it is the eye that you have for it, right? I mean, if 5 people go to the same place to try and take the same style of photo, or like, some are just going to be better than others, and that's just because different people have different skills. But the fact is that anybody could go out and take that photo, and so sometimes it's the eye, sometimes it's the minor edits. But if you go to a beautiful place and take a picture with a camera with the default settings, you should be able to do it pretty beautifully. It just takes practice.
Yeah, practice makes perfect. The question that I have is, like, before those 5 years that you started sort of taking photos, did you have an eye for it maybe in high school, in your 20s, or did it just, like, one night it just came to you, sort of?
I didn't really have a camera back then. I feel like, I don't know, like, I feel like I've always had the eye for it in a sense. I went to Iceland back in 2016, and when I look back at the photos that I took then with probably whatever, iPhone 6 perhaps, like, the photos were still pretty good, and I didn't really realize that I was taking good photos at the time. I was pretty happy with how those ones turned out, but when I sold one of those photos, in 2024, probably, I sold like a blown up version of a photo I took in 2016 back then. So it was good enough that somebody liked it to blow it up big enough to put behind their couch. So I suppose I've always kind of had the eye for it, but I didn't really start practicing it properly until about 5 years ago.
So how does it work when these photos are sold? Like, what's the process that goes through? Do you have a website that they just come and they choose the sizing and sort of scroll through the gallery, or how does that work?
I used to. I stopped selling my photos via a website really after about 2 years. It just got for me, because that wasn't really a goal of mine. It was essentially it was a lot of work to like order them and pick them up and mail them, and And so now I just kind of do it on a, people will just DM sometimes and just say, I really like this photo. Can you sell that to me? And then I just ask them what size they want. And they'll just go, okay, great. I'll just transfer you that much money. You print it and send it to me. But yeah, for the most part, I just, when I had a website, I would just offer a few different sizes. And then people would just DM if they wanted anything different. Cause some people did want them blown up to be 3 feet by 4 feet, which, was pretty, I was very nervous about that the first time I blew up a cell phone photo to that size, but everyone's been happy with ordering large prints.
So can you walk us through the journey of sort of 0 to 60,000 followers? Is there like milestones that sort of things change, or how's that process been?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, probably 3 years ago, I would say it was a lot easier to get new followers because it was easier to get reach because of hashtags. And so, I recall making even photo posts at the time. I mean, obviously, the landscape has changed now. Really, if you are posting a single photo, it's really just going to be shown to your followers. It doesn't matter what you do to it. A single photo that's not a carousel, that's not a reel, just won't typically garner that much attention from people who don't follow you. But back then, I would be able to post a photo and I could get 60,000 views on that photo from hashtags. So even if I only had 5,000 followers, like I could get lots of views because of people who followed hashtags, and it would show you what was trending on those hashtags. And I could click on hashtag Vancouver Island and see that my photo was in the top of those of that, and it would just sit there for months at a time. So anybody who was interested in those hashtags could go click on them and they would see my photo. About 3 years ago, that just really stopped working on Instagram for sure. And so and then the switch to Reels, and Reels has been the growth champion for sure. And now, I mean, I still love taking photos. I share my photos on Facebook now and stick to mostly Reels, unless I go somewhere and I get a lot of great photos that I want to make a carousel with. But the growth has been, I guess I grew from, like, in October of 2020, I had 892 followers. And now it's 60,000. And so it just kind of, I remember thinking back then, you couldn't share a link in your stories unless you had 10,000 followers. That's how Instagram worked. And so that was like a goal, because obviously at the time I wanted to sell photos and I wanted to be able to put a link rather than just writing link in bio in your caption every time. And so getting 10,000 followers was a big deal. And then I kind of had a few reels take off, and that kind of jumped me into the 20s. But then honestly, it was really slow from 34 to 40,000. That took probably 2 years. It was really slow. It didn't matter. It seemed like everything just kind of stayed the same. But honestly, the key to the growth is just being consistent and posting a lot, really. And so in the first 2 years, at one point I was posting 3 times a day, and I did that for about a year and a half. And that kind of got me to that 10,000. But like this year in 2025, I started in mid-January, and so I posted a reel every day for about 3 months, and I'm like sometimes more than once a day, because I utilize trial reels a lot as well. And so sometimes I still post 2 or 3 reels a day, depending on how busy I am. But I've grown by almost 14,000 this year. And so that's just as a result of putting out lots of content.
Wow. It's very interesting how there's different seasons and, like, stagnant and sort of growth periods. So now that you've accumulated 14,000 followers just this year alone, what is the recipe you follow with the Reel algorithm?
Well, honestly, it's just putting up, so either providing something that's beautiful, something that provides value to people, or just something, I mean, shareability is like the number one factor that they're looking for. So, the sends per reach type thing. So really making something that's shareable. And so quite often that's something that is either super unique. And so if somebody's never seen this before, so if you stumble across something that is, wow, that looks neat, I've never seen that before, if you make a video of that, there's a good chance somebody else hasn't seen it before, and then they'll share it with somebody else and go, hey, have you seen this? Or something that provides value, that's, whether it be 10 waterfalls to check out within 90 minutes of Vancouver. I mean, lots of people want to know about that, and so they'll save it and share it. And so kind of the shareability is the number one factor, but really putting out beautiful content that has some value to people is the key. And then really lots of content. Honestly, I've always just been a believer that every time you put out a new piece of content, it's an opportunity for someone else to see your work. And so by being consistent and putting out a lot of it, every time somebody new gets a chance to see it and perhaps follow you from it. So I utilize trial reels a lot so that I don't bombard my followers with, like 3 reels a day. So I utilize trial reels probably at least once or twice a day, just put something else out there. And that's great because my followers never see that stuff. And it's similar to the things that I already put out, but it doesn't get shown to my followers. So I'm not bothering them with it. But I probably have 15 reels right now with more than 1 million views that are just sitting in trials, and my followers don't see it.
It's interesting you're mentioning trial reel. I don't think I've ever heard of it. Can you explain what it is?
Yeah, I mean, it's essentially when you're making a reel, there's a radio button there that says trial, and so it basically, the whole function of it is that it doesn't show that reel to your followers. And so it's interesting because if you see lots of creator talk on things like Threads, everyone says, like, why would I not want to show it to my followers? I'm already making content that you're not showing to my followers. Why would I want to proactively not show my stuff to my followers? But you could make the same reel 3 times. You could either make it identical, or you could just change up the music if you like. Put one out to like that's on your grid that your followers see, but then you can test stuff out. So if you're like, oh, whatever, I recorded this, I thought it looks pretty cool, but I don't know if it's the regular content that my followers would want to see, you just click the button that says trial, and then it won't show it to your followers. And so that way you can kind of test it out and see what works and what doesn't. After you share it, depending on how well it does, either very quickly or after about 24 hours, it gives you the insights into how it's doing. You've got the option to just leave it. It'll just live out there in trial land, or you can hit a button that says share to everyone, in which case it'll post it to your grid. Or you could just delete it if you don't like it. Or you go, oh yeah, that's great, I'll make another version of that. And you could start from scratch, leave that one out in trial land, and put the exact same content on your grid, because you know that it'll perform well because you've already seen it perform well.
Right. Yeah, it's very smart. It's like testing the waters, sort of.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like A/B testing, like you would do in any other type of marketing. So you're testing it out, but you don't have to show it to your followers. So it's great because sometimes I like to do whatever. We go and do stuff that just isn't in my niche of outdoor adventure, right? And so it might be a beautiful experience that I go on. As an example, my wife and I went to one of the candlelight concerts that they have, and so that it's at a church, and it's just or it's orchestra music, like just 5 people with violins, and they're just playing music in front of hundreds and hundreds of candles, and so it's beautiful to look at. However, that's not normally what my followers see, because we're normally doing like outdoor adventure stuff or accommodation stuff, and so if I post that on my grid, that's not why the 60,000 people that follow me are here. That's just not what I normally post. And so it just might not do well. So I can just go, okay, let's just not show it to those people and show it to non-followers who might just appreciate it for the fact that it's beautiful content.
Where do you get so much content that you have 2 to 3 reels a day currently?
I film everything.
That's the secret.
Yeah, I mean, really, you just like for making reels, it's not recording. I'm not posting 3-minute reels of like a crazy 3-minute experience all the time. I mean, you just need 7 to 20 seconds worth of video, and so sometimes it's if I go somewhere, I mean, if I do an accommodation stay somewhere, I might take 150 videos during that time. And so, right, but they're all just short little clips. And so later, although they might be similar, I could just rearrange them, use different parts, make them shorter, make them longer, add different captions to them. And so sometimes it's super similar content. Other times, I'll just be whatever. I might go look for. I have a reel right now that has 8.5 million views and it's got 1 million likes. And I posted that in March of this year, and that was literally, there's a place in Nanaimo that's called the Abyss. It's like a crack in the earth, and we had gone hiking there a few times, and I went to go find a photo that I had taken there. And I remembered as I was scrolling through my Google Photos looking for that picture, I found a video, and it was just like air bubbles and water melting underneath a sheet of ice. And I had recorded it because it was making a sound. You could hear the air running underneath the ice. And so I recorded a little 8-second video, and I posted that and just said, has anyone ever seen this? And then it's still, I mean, it's getting probably 50,000 views a day, and has been for, whatever accumulated time now. It's over a year and a half worth of time people have spent watching this 8-second video with, 8.5 million views plus. And so it's just that, I mean, that stuff like that, right? It's like because I try to record as much as possible, you just never know what you're going to have and want to use later.
Yeah, 100%. That's very interesting. Also, just sort of closing off this section, is there like certain, like, does the music have to be loud, quiet? Does it be captions or not? Like, if you had to get to the nitty gritty, have you found sort of like a formula to follow, or is it always different per se?
Recently, I would say in the last year, I've been like opening with some type of on-screen text that says whatever this is. 15 waterfalls to explore. Here's 10 things to do for free, that type thing. And just putting that in black and white on very noticeable text. And then lots of quick scene changes. And so really no section of the video is typically more than 2.5 seconds long. So transition every 2.5 seconds or less, and keeping it short. And that's kind of been a recipe for success.
Amazing. The secrets of Dylan Benson. That sort of covers photography and content creation, but you are also an author as well.
Yeah, as I mentioned earlier, my wife passed away when my son was born. She went brain dead when she was pregnant with him, and they kept her body alive for 6 weeks to grow him, and then he was born 12 weeks early, and she was taken off of support. And so I've had this bond with my son Ivor since day one. And so he was in the NICU in intensive care for his first 3 months, and then I came home with him, and it was just him and I. And then even though I've had relationships here and there, I mean, it was just my son and I for years, and I really felt like that bond was something different and something special, and it still is. And so a couple years ago, I decided that I wanted to try and write a book with him, and write a children's book that either he could read, or that that fathers could read to sons. There's a lot of books out there that are about the child's relationship with their mother, but there isn't a lot about fathers and sons. And so I asked my son Ivor to give me some suggestions of things that we've done over the past 10 years that that he really enjoyed doing and stuck out memory wise for him. And so he gave me that. I turned it into just some rhyming sentences. I had done some Instagram mentorship for a lady a few years ago who her goal was to become a children's book illustrator. And so when I decided to write a children's book, I knew exactly who to go to because I liked her style and I knew her. And so we partnered up, and she did all the illustrations for the book, and it came out in December of 2024. And we've sold a bunch of them already. Lots of local support. It's in chapters in Indigo and Amazon, and we've done a book signing already, which is I did a book signing with my son. We have another one coming up in Nanaimo at the chapters June, and I never thought I would have published author beside my name, but also my son, who's 11, is also listed as the author on the book. And so that's something that he'll have forever, as he's only 11 and he's already a published author. And it's neat to be able to do book signings and sign books and send them off to people. And so it's a great feeling.
That is super cool. I sort of want to linger. How do you manage your time? It seems that you're doing so many things at the same time. How does your day look like? If you can walk me through when you wake up and when you go to bed.
Yeah, I mean, I wake up. I have a day job as a sales analyst for a software company, and so I wake up early. There's lots of overlap with most of them work out of Portugal. I manage like the salespeople that I work with. They work in North America, but mostly on the East Coast. So I start at 7. I do that again. Then as soon as I finish that time, I've kind of got a calendar plugged in. I do some social media management. So if I have posts for other pages that are set to go out, I've scheduled those, or I already have an idea mentally of what they're going to be. And then I just, a lot of times in the evening, like posting content, I find I'm thinking about it all day long, probably about just what I'm going to post. I also manage, there's a company called Guess Where Trips that's out of Ontario, and they do mystery road trips where you say these are your interests, and they send you envelopes in the mail with a mystery road trip that you'll go on. So it comes with an envelope that says, here's what you need to know before you go. And then on the day you're going to do it, you open envelope number 1 and it tells you, here's some options of places to go for number 1. And then you open that, you go to whatever, the waterfall or the restaurant, whatever it may be. And then once you finish that, you open envelope number 2 and you do that. And so I do that as well. And so that involved in that is posting, but also testing these road trips. It's just launched on Vancouver Island. The first official trip goes live at the end of this month, but we started launching the page in the middle of April. And so it's been going out, driving around the island, doing testing for that, which is also great because I get to use some of the content that I take along the way for myself. So it's just a lot of building that. And then, my son Ivor lives with us, and my daughter Isla is with us Monday to Friday. And so managing the kids, whatever, they're in music lessons. We try to, music and acting. And so it's a very busy schedule. But my wife Mariko is, she's a stay-at-home mom. And so we get, I'm fortunate that all of my work is from home. So I get to spend lots of time with my family, and whether it be content creation stuff, when we go out and do adventures, even accommodations, really my family is with me all the time. And so even when we went to Savory Island a few weeks ago, and that's a whole family trip with all the kids. And so yes, I'm going there for content creation and to help promote that business, but also I'm getting to make memories with my family. And so although it feels very busy because I'm vacationing and working at the same time, I'm also adding memories for my kids. And so it's kind of like I'm doing 3 things at once. And sometimes it feels like I'm doing 3 things at once. But at the end of the day, I just have the drive to really, I just want to provide for my kids. And so the best way to do that is by working hard. And I'm fortunate that the stuff we do together, I didn't have that as a kid. We didn't, I can remember the one time we went on a drive to Alberta when I was 12, and the one time we went to Disneyland. But now my family and I we go on, some type of vacation. Most of the time they're on Vancouver Island, but if it's 2 or 3 nights in a hotel and it's got a pool, or we're going surfing, that type of thing, my kids will remember that for a long time. And making memories for them is one of my number 1 goals in life, really. And so I'm so grateful that I get to do that as part of my work, and really just give them a life that's better than what I grew up with.
That's amazing, Dylan. This is an awesome message for every parent and just everyone in general. But off camera, you told me that you have adopted a kid as well.
No, not adopted. Oh. No. I've got my stepdaughter Isla, who's with my wife Mariko, and then I have my youngest Bodhi, who's from a relationship that didn't work out, and then my son Ivor, whose mom passed away.
Right. So yeah, three and 3 different moms. How does that dynamic? How does that I'm sure it's fine, but if you can just touch on that.
Yeah, I mean, it's super interesting because so my youngest son Bodhi lives with his mom in Victoria, and so I have him 2 or 3 weekends a month, and then my stepdaughter Isla, she's with her dad every weekend, and then my son Ivor is with us full time, and so we sometimes we have just my son Ivor would be with us on a weekend, but he wants to spend time with his grandparents, and so even though we have 3 kids, my wife and I get to have weekends with no kids because my son Ivor will go to one of his 3 sets of grandparents' house, and then so even though I have 3 kids, kind of once every 6 to 8 weeks I get to have a kid-free weekend, which is not the norm for most parents that have 3 kids, and so it's it's great because it gives us some quality time as a couple, but also yeah, we don't feel like we're overwhelmed with 3 kids all the time. But it is super unique having 3 kids with totally different. They've all grown up different ways, and it's a blended family, and they all get along very well, and it's great to be able to spend so much time with all 3 of them.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's a great dynamic. If you had unlimited resources to develop one product or platform that would revolutionize how people experience adventure, what would it be? You sort of touched on this envelope thing that you're like the mystery road trip, but would you say that or something else?
I mean, that's honestly, I really am passionate about this project because I think that even as someone who's local and has been to lots of I mean, I was born in Victoria, so I've lived my whole life on Vancouver Island, and doing the testing for guess where trips, it's all I've already been to places that I hadn't been to. So I think that when you consciously set aside the time to go and adventure, and allow yourself to be able to go somewhere you've never been, it just opens you up to new experiences. And so I think it's a great way to do it, because I think that often we think, oh, what are we going to do this weekend? And if like your first thought is to go to places that you know of, and then otherwise you're kind of like, okay, I'd like to go see a waterfall, but then you have to kind of put in the research to where is that, and how hard of a hike is it, and is that something we can do? Like people have different hiking abilities. My wife doesn't want to do any hikes that are going to include rappelling down on a rope, as an example. Some stuff isn't safe for kids. Everywhere we go is safe for kids, but you kind of have to do that research, or if we get somewhere, I have to be the sacrificial lamb. Like, can I hike down to this while you guys wait there? And so I think that having somebody kind of do pre-planned trips for you is a great way to know that you're going to a safe place that's whatever accessible for your hiking abilities. And it's a great way to explore outside. And I mean, that's, I think if you don't set aside the time, it's easy to just stay at home and watch TV and things like that. But when you've made a decision to spend your time in doing adventuring, it just opens up your doors to a lot of things you've never seen before.
The question that arises for me is that you are so familiar and so blended into the Victoria landscape and potentially BC as a whole, but have you traveled outside to Europe or other countries, and what notable differences you see there?
Yeah, I lived in the UK for a couple of years when I was in my 20s. And then outside of that, I've been to Iceland, and I've been to Croatia and Bosnia and Herzegovina. And then I've been to the States quite a bit for different jobs. And so I mean, Europe is just totally different. And I think of it fondly. Honestly, I like here. I think the major difference between Europe and the UK as well is just the history that's over there. I mean, we just don't have anything that's old here, right? It's just everything is relatively new within 100 years or so, and so there's just so much more history to take in there. I mean, I remember places in Croatia that it's hard to even explain what just the ground downtown. It's just like it's smooth because it's been worn away by hundreds of years of people walking on the ground, and we just don't have that here. Or in up in Scotland, where it's like the cobblestone roads. Here we have kind of imitation cobblestone roads in places, but there isn't truly genuinely anywhere that has that history. So it's very different over there. I love Vancouver Island. BC is obviously supernatural. British Columbia, it's beautiful here. Vancouver Island is, when I've not been here, I've been missing being here. I think we truly live in one of the most beautiful places. Living in a rainforest obviously has its downsides as far as the rain, but we have just old growth forest. There's beautiful beaches here. The places I've been in Europe have been beautiful, like what, in Croatia, it's like what you would look up if you're like, where's a beautiful vacation? That's where I'd like to go. I also went to Egypt once, and that was basically looking up where is it the hottest for the cheapest at the time. And it was like, oh, it's this, right? It's Sharm el Sheikh in Egypt. You could go there. But that's, there's beautiful, turquoise water type vacations, but I think that Vancouver Island offers a lot for anybody who likes skiing or surfing or hiking. It's just really got something for everyone. It doesn't have necessarily the lay on a hot beach for today and just tan, but it does have that at places in times, and so it's got something for everyone, and I'm super grateful to call it home.
Amazing. It was like sort of like an ad for Vancouver Island. Many young professionals are seeking more purpose-driven careers. How do you see the adventure economy evolving as more talent shifts towards passion-based businesses?
I think that I'm grateful to see so many people using platforms like social media to follow their passions and turn that into their actual jobs. I think that I learned years ago that kind of the internet makes everything a level playing field from the start, right? And we've seen from the creation of YouTube that you don't have to be rich and attractive to start a business online, right? And you just have to be interesting enough that people want to watch, or sharing something that's beautiful or educational. And so it really is whatever you bring to it, and having the fact that you can turn your personality into your personal brand and take that wherever as high as it'll go. I think that it's really how much effort you're willing to put into it, and kind of what you put in you can get out, and it's about staying persistent, staying driven. I think that a lot of people who try to, whether really with any small business, if you're starting your own business, the propensity to give up when things get hard initially is what stifles most people from, right? I mean, if you're not willing to work through those hard times and the frustration, you won't get to the other side. And so that's not a knock on anybody. I think it's just how we are as people. Is when things get frustrating to do, it's easy to just say, well, I'm just not going to do it, right? And that's why when you look at content creation as an example, I mean, there's millions and millions or billions of people that are on social media, but how many of them are creating the content? Like just a small percentage, right? And sometimes it feels like there's lots because you can endlessly scroll reels, whatever. You can't get to the end of it because so many people are putting it out, but it's still just a small percentage of people that are doing it. And so if you decide to do it, you just start and don't stop and don't give up, right? And the fact that now people can, starting, if you want to be a creator, I mean, it just, whatever, do the research and then find your niche or the thing that's interesting or the thing that you get to do and film, and then just keep doing it. But the fact that people can change their lives and turn it into businesses so that they can stop working in an office 9 to 5 and getting told what to do. I mean, it's great that people have that opportunity now.
This is amazing advice that you just said. And sort of just to linger on this topic, how do you feel about AI made content now? I'm sure it's going to be more and more every single year coming out. And what's your take on it, really?
I mean, as somebody who's trying to share as much of like, this is what you could actually see when you go somewhere, like, I think that AI is super useful. I think that whether it comes to, I think that for the AI to create videos for you using your own original content is a great idea, right? I think that if you want to, hey AI, I'm going to feed you these 15 clips and I'd like you to stitch it together and match it to the beats of this audio. That type of automation is super helpful for a creator, right? And it takes all of the hard work away. Does that make it, I don't know, does that cheapen the work a bit? It's still the videos that you took. And it does make it so that you don't have to put in nearly as much effort, but if it's still the same original stuff that's actually filmed, I think that where we get challenges is where we start using totally created content that isn't, right? It's made by the computers. I think that you're supposed to add disclaimers if it's AI created works on social media platforms, and I think that's great. I hope the AI, the text, whether AI made this or not, works better, right? Because I think obviously as people use portions of AI videos or AI captions, you don't have to click on the button that says this was AI generated, right? We should need AI disclaimers, is how I feel. That not necessarily for a caption. I don't think we need to I don't need to know if somebody else used ChatGPT to write a caption. I can probably figure that out myself by looking at it, or somebody's used it well and I can't, and it doesn't make a difference in my life. But if I see something that's beautiful or something that's graphic, but it's not real, I don't want, I like to be able to know that what I'm looking at is authentic.
Yeah, I think that's an important sort of point you brought up. But as a computer scientist, this stuff is going to get so much better as the years go on that in a year or two, you will look at a video and it will be indistinguishable from reality. And then where it takes to that point, then what's truly real or not?
Totally. Yeah, I think that it's a scary prospect in some senses. I mean, we already know that there's misuse of it happening, right? And you could create things that we could generate this conversation with AI versions of us, right? And so then what is authentic anymore, right? I mean, if we can make AI you and AI me and just make this room and just go, use that as a background, then what are people actually doing and watching? It's a scary prospect, really, because then I don't know, what are you going to do with your time? But also you could, as we know, you could put people in compromising situations. I don't know if you've ever seen it. There's a show that it's reality TV, but essentially they send these couples away on an island type thing, and so with their actual partner, and then they'll recreate with AI actors. They'll recreate a scenario where you watch an AI version of your partner cheating on you. And so that two options are possible. One, you're watching authentic footage of your partner cheating on you, or you're watching AI footage, but you don't know. Right? They look identical. And so either you've immediately built distrust in your partner, or you believe wholeheartedly that what you're watching cannot be real because your partner wouldn't cheat on you. And that's right there. I mean, that's a televised version where we're saying, this is what could happen. And so what could happen when it's not on TV, right? I mean, if you get into a scenario where you should be able to believe what your eyes are seeing, right? And how many times have we seen people use the argument of like, oh, I brought the receipts for what you said. Here's the text message thread between you and the person I'm accusing you of cheating on me with, right? But what if all of that's made up? Right? What if you don't have the receipts, but you can just have AI generate it for you? So there's lots of sticky situations that people can get in using AI, and unfortunately, we already know there won't be the control that should be very easy to say that's generated content, because that kind of eliminates the use for AI if everything has the warning on it. But for many reasons, it probably should.
Yeah, I agree that warning needs to be there, yes. But it's sort of that happened with social media as well. So back when there was no social media, relationships were so much more authentic. Imagine you liked a girl, sort of, and You know, when you guys left there, you didn't see her for like weeks until you guys met again in person. And, you know, feelings were so much more real. But then now with social media, you guys can text all the time and there's this feel of connection, but it's not as real as obviously like human touch and sort of face to face. And with AI, it sort of feels like the same, that you can't even trust your eyes anymore, as you just mentioned. So I don't know where the world is going. Maybe you probably lived in both those eras when there was no social media.
Yeah, that's right.
And there was.
Yeah, I don't want to date myself, but 43 is old enough that you could have lived in the pre-social media area as well as after. But yeah, I do feel like back in my late teens and early 20s, I mean, that was some people. I mean, was at the age where people had a pager, and then cell phones started getting introduced, right? But there was no texting or anything like that. And I mean, your relationships, my first girlfriends, the only relationship that you had was like on like physical phone calls, right? And that was, I mean, that's it, right? That was your real connection, or you met up in person, and it did feel more authentic, right? And because you weren't dealing, I mean, you didn't have a chance to judge somebody. I think that's what happens a lot these days online, is that you judge a lot, right? It's, if I wanted to find out, who am I going to be meeting with today, whether it's business or personal, you can look them up, right? And as people, it's our tendency, I think, to judge whether we intend to do it or not, right? But you look somebody up and you create this version of that person before you've even met them, just by looking them up online. And so it kind of takes away somebody's opportunity to make a authentic first impression because you already have one. So we're kind of taking that away. And obviously, and if AI has an opportunity to change how you think about that person even more before you've even met them, it's hard to say whether that'll be a good thing or a bad thing.
Given that micro influencers earn 100 to 500 per post, while mega influencers can earn 10,000 plus per post, how has your monetization strategy evolved as your following has grown?
So I would say that here, it's really, I mean, it's challenging as a Canadian content creator because essentially we don't get paid for right? Like, that's just how it works. You don't get paid from Instagram. You don't get paid from TikTok. So it has to be through brand partnerships, really. The only money that I can make from social media is from bonuses on Facebook for posting photos. And but and sometimes now some creators are getting paid for longer form videos, and but I mean, really, that's I would like to take advantage of that, but that's changing what I do entirely to strictly to make money, right? I'd have to start making videos on Facebook that are longer videos that either are me going live and doing something, or me turning my trips into longer videos, featuring me, that make them as somebody would watch. And so like mini YouTube videos in a sense, but that's really the only way to make money as a content creator using the social media platforms themselves. So the only other way to do it is through brand partnerships. And that's challenging for smaller creators for sure. And I mean, even as somebody with 60,000 followers, it's not like there's tons of businesses that want to pay you thousands of dollars for your posts. And so it's navigating the ones that work for you. I think I remember the first time I was offered money for a post, it was mind blowing, right? Just at some point, right, when you're just a guy with a few hundred followers or even a couple thousand, and then a clothing brand is like, oh, hey, we'll send you this pair of jeans and pay you $500 to post about the jeans. You're like, wow, this is crazy. But I think that it's easy to want to just take advantage of all of those. I personally won't do anything unless I'm like behind that brand. Really, I just like, that's part of my whole personal brand is being authentic, right? And so I've absolutely said no to ones that could make money because it's just not something I would use. And I just think that I don't want to cheapen my personal brand by getting a small amount of money for something I don't believe in. But It's, as a Canadian content creator, it's challenging to turn that part into a full-time job without, really, I guess it takes a lot of work. Sometimes larger creators will have an agent, work with an agency that'll kind of find those brand deals for you. But for smaller creators, it's a lot of outreach, right? It's if you want to find those brand deals that, especially ones that go well with your brand, because obviously some people are just, right? If you want to make a whole page that just promotes other products and you build up your following that way, you can totally do that. But if you want to find stuff that kind of aligns with your personal brand, you need to start doing lots of reach outs, and that's a lot of work, but totally doable because lots of people are doing it. But it can be a lot of work. Obviously, there's lots of there's lots of MLM style or, that type of home business created content, selling digital products that, I mean, it's huge. I don't think you can scroll reels for very long without finding somebody who's selling a digital guide of some kind. Often it's how to be successful on Instagram. And you can buy those for $100 to $500 to $2,500. But the fact that, people can just make a whole living out of selling those. And so I think that's great for those people, right? If you want to be a content creator that just says, I'm going to show you how to be a content creator, it's cyclical, but you could obviously take home lots of money from it. So for people that choose that as their niche, I think that's great. I mean, that's a avenue to success, and is still a lot of work because content creation is a lot of work. People will kind of, some people think that it's not a hard job because what are you doing? You're just filming stuff and putting it online. But anybody who's spent hours, spent lots of time creating reels, it takes time to get the practice down, and it's glitchy at the best of times. And so even when you've made thousands of them, you're still going to run into problems. And so, somebody else who hasn't made thousands might tell you it takes them 3 to 5 hours to make a reel, which, like, to me, who makes one in 15 minutes is like, oh man, I couldn't do that. But there's times when I know that most people would give up on making the stupid reel that I'm trying to make. But I'm just like, I've done it enough that I'll just fight through the frustration. But and objectively, that's not hard work compared to people who work hard, physically, mostly physically and mentally, but it's not as easy as people would make it out to be. So anybody who's doing it, and putting in the work and seeing the success from it, it's not easy work, and they should be receive the credit that it deserves, I think.
Outdoor Boys. I'm sure you know of them, the YouTube channel.
No, I don't spend a lot of time on YouTube, to be honest. Life is that busy that I don't spend as much time as I would like to on YouTube.
Really? Because I feel like for your sort of content, YouTube actually pays the most per 1,000 views.
Right. Yes. I mean, we've toiled with the idea of making content for YouTube. It's just we've had lots of views on YouTube Shorts, but when you think about it, that like everything that I do for social media is filmed in portrait, right? And so to make content for YouTube, we have to film it twice, really, right? And we'd have to film it all in landscape as well, and it's yes, it's like, it feels silly because there's just so much, there's actual money to be made there, and we're not doing that. But for lots of the stuff that I do, as I mentioned, we go with our kids to lots of things. So it's a whole different avenue, being like, okay, we need to do that part all over again because I need to film it a different way. Which kind of takes away from, right? Because when I'm filming it now, I'm filming it naturally as we're doing it, right? Like, I'm not staging my kids to, do certain things for the videos, but refilming it with intention to put it on there. It's just a lot of extra work, and I would like to do it. I don't know why I'm not doing it. We've talked about it a lot, but it's just, we'd like to make longer form content. It's just like that type of filming and editing to make a 10-minute video, and have the voiceover that goes with it, and have it stitched together and have the appropriate music is obviously significantly more work than it is to make a 15-second reel or make 3 of them, really. And it obviously, like with anything, it takes practice and you just get good at it. But it's just a lot of extra time that currently I don't feel like we have.
That's totally fair. The reason I brought up Outdoor Boys because it's this YouTube channel. It's actually a father and a son as well. Okay. And they go on adventures. And like a month ago, I used to like binge them because they would go to Alaska and, different sort of, build snow caves, crazy survival stuff.
Right.
And so I recommend just like watching a couple of their videos. There's just good quality stuff.
Yeah, I'll check it out.
Yeah. As someone with your background, which emerging technologies do you believe will have the most transformative impact on how we experience the outdoors and adventure in the next 5 years?
So I think things like that have come up really. I mean, the drones themselves have, like I had a Mini 2 was my first one, but just being able to like now have a Mini 4 Pro, and just the difference between where we were with drones, shooting in landscape only, with no function to protect you from crashes, just very stock, like this is the lens, this is the way it's going, versus where we're at now with with anti-crash measures, and filming in portrait and being able to add ND filters onto your lenses. It's come a long way and gives, like drones are still, obviously there's super cheap ones, but for DJI as an example, maybe they're affordable depending on where you're at. Obviously lots of people don't get them because they're not affordable, but they're out there now and attainable for a lot of people that and it just wasn't an option years ago. And so like I think that as we get more of that technology or it becomes more affordable for people, I think that getting a different view than we normally see is I think that's unique, and that's why I think things like drones. I use an Insta360. I have the X4. I think seeing anytime that we can see things from a perspective that isn't what we would normally see, it's interesting. And so, when you get to view yourself from behind, whether it be riding a motorcycle or hiking, when you can get your whole family in the video because you're shooting in 360. It kind of adds to it. And so I think that content creation wise, it's, like the technologies that we have. I've got the Meta Ray-Bans, so I can, record from my glasses while we're doing stuff. The 360, I think with the 360 cam having the invisible stick, right? There's like 30-foot versions of the invisible sticks, right? That people use. And so essentially, like you can kind of film somebody jumping off a waterfall and you don't have to throw your drone out in the middle of the waterfall because you've got the invisible stick that's 30 feet long. And so I think technologies like that used for content creation make it easier to get outside and film these things and to get to places that aren't just on the ground level, and aren't the views that we are, that we only get by viewing with our eyes. And so I think as those things grow, I predict that we'll have more kind of wearable technology, obviously whatever GoPros, 360 cams, like now would attach a camera to your face, anything to free your hands and allow you to still be out there experiencing the outdoors, but filming it as well. Not only do you get the memories from it and to be able to watch later, but for content creation, it just allows more people to capture more of what we're getting out and doing.
The natural question that you brought up a point, you were like, you enjoy the videos you get later on. But then some people may argue that if you're just filming it and you're busy sort of just making sure that you capture this moment, you're actually potentially not living in the moment. And how often would you go back and look at your videos? So can you speak on that?
Yeah, totally. So I absolutely can see the point in that, in as far as if I go to a music concert, I don't film the music concert, because I do subscribe to that theory there that I'm not going to go back and watch my concert video. I'm not going to go back and watch a video that I would have recorded of fireworks, as an example. But am I going to go back? I mean, as a content creator, am I going to film this waterfall today? Like, yeah, because I'm absolutely going to use that video of that waterfall later. Whether it's I'm going to make a video on how to get to this waterfall, I'm going to turn it into a compilation video of here's a bunch of waterfalls you can check out. Here's my favorite waterfalls. Or, just whatever. There's an Ammonite Falls in Nanaimo. I just made a video the other day about the trail and going to visit those falls. And then I pulled up a video from July where there's no flow at this fall. And so then I can remind people, hey, as much as you might see videos saying go see these waterfalls, like I have video proof that if you go at the end of July, like there isn't enough water to have a shower under this waterfall because it just dries up. And so I get to go back and use those videos. I mentioned earlier the video that I've got that's doing really well is just I thought that ice melting sounded really cool. So I filmed it. So I will go back and watch that later. But also for me, like just on a personal note, my wife that passed away, I knew her for half my life and we spent years together, and I have probably 5 videos that are either of her or have her, even just her voice in it, but only 5, because she passed in 2014 and we just didn't have video cameras in our pockets all the time. And so that really taught me to just film everything. You could delete it later. And I don't go out of my way. I'm not annoying my family by saying whatever, like, oh, stop, we can't get out of the car. I don't film us going to the grocery store, like in a YouTuber sense, right? Of course, they film literally everything and hold a camera everywhere they're going. But, and I don't really, I'm not filming anything that's happening in our home for the most part. But for the adventures and the memories that we'll make, I will go back and look at them later, and I can still take the time to live in the moment. If we go to a beach together, I might film whatever little portions of 30 seconds here and there, but I'm absolutely still enjoying the time with my family at the beach and filming it or not.
What I'm imagining is that you're filming so much. I'm sure like your hard drive is probably like 10 terabytes, or it can really get quite messy. Like even as a podcaster, like I have to have a system of just like, getting all the clips and all the audio files together and sending it to the editor and blah, blah, blah. So how do you stay organized with all this footage?
Yeah, just Google Photos, really. I put, like, if I go on different projects, so I also do some drone filming for the Vancouver Island North Film Commission. And so for all of that stuff, like essentially I get the drone footage and that's like immediately in Google Drive into organized folders. And so this is this place, this is right, like broken down like that. But for the most part, I mean, Google Photos, just whatever, like, unfortunately, we're just in the day and age that, like, you just pay for the cloud storage. You just, I can't deal with having physical storage. I just don't have the time and place for that. It's bad enough, having memory cards for a camera and a drone and all of that stuff, and have to keep putting them in and putting them out. But yeah, really just make enough money to be able to afford the cloud storage that allows you to just keep building. Because I've the 256 gigs on my phone when I had 128 or whatever. I mean, that was I had to delete stuff off my phone like almost every time we went out on a new trip, right? It's like you have to go, oh, there's not enough space. And so I just, I can't deal with that. So now it's just everything goes in the cloud, and eventually you can obviously buy just unlimited storage. And so that's where we're at.
Yeah. No, I'm old school. I still have a hard drive.
Do you?
Yeah. I don't know what it is, but I like that aspect of just, I don't know what it is. It feels good. I don't know.
I also worry about like the burning house thing, right? Like, oh man, if there was a fire or a flood and everything and something was on your physical drive, like I get panicked enough just the stuff that I've recorded now, if I haven't uploaded it to the cloud, like if I drop that phone, like that's gonzo, right? And I think that's part of the reason I record so much as well, is that, like lots of the places that we go, I might never go there again. Right. And so, like whatever the waterfall that I'll probably go to here after this is over, like I've been to it once, and now, like, even though it's a little drizzly out, I'll go there again simply because I don't know when I'll get a chance to, right? I mean, whatever. I didn't go to it until I was 42 years old, but I had seen it online for 5 years and was like, oh gosh, dang, that's so beautiful. I want to go see it. And it took me a long time to catch the ferry over, get time away from my family to go and visit that one waterfall. And so part of the recording everything is that I don't know when I'll get that experience again. So to record it, have it there. But I fear, what if on the way home my phone fell out of my pocket on the highway and I don't have that? Like, that's gone. And so to not have that in the cloud, even, it's like, oh man, if I got robbed or anything, to not have that drive is a scary thought.
Yeah. Maybe I'll be the cloud guy as well very soon. But so now we're gonna jump into the last sort of section, which is some philosophical questions. And the first one that I have for you is, what challenges you?
I think for me, my whole life is about providing for my kids and my family. And so the uncertainty, I think, is what challenges me. And I think, a lot of people live with anxiety, and I just think anxiety is just it's the fear of something that hasn't happened yet. Right. And so really the challenge is that anything will happen that will stop me from doing what I love, and what provides for my family. And so that kind of fear of what if things dry up, what if I get fired from my job, those kinds of challenges, I think about them more than I'd like to. However, I really, you just can't live in that mindset all the time, right? If you just live in fear that things are going to go wrong all the time, you just won't do anything. So the mental health aspect, I mean, I've put a lot of work in over the last 5 years to make sure that I don't get stuck in that, because once you, kind of live in depression and anxiety, even for a period of days, it can take so much effort to put your shoes back on and get out the front door. And so really the challenge is to make sure that I'm in a space mentally that I can get through today. And I know that no matter how challenging it is, I mean, I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, right? And so I just have to get through today. I have to have a plan for tomorrow, but I have to know that no matter what, it's going to be okay. And I think really one of the things that I think about often is that the stuff that is really stressful for me or for anybody else, that there's nothing in my life today that I was stressing about 5 years ago. And so I think when, what's stressful today, will this still be heavily affecting me in 5 years from now? Almost certainly not. Right. And so how much time do I really want to spend getting frustrated and angry about something that isn't going the way I'd like it to now? Right. And even if it's whatever, even if you get a bill that came in the mail that was thousands of dollars and you're like, this is overwhelming. And the old me would have been like, oh gosh, this is going to crush me. How will I ever get out of this? Right. But you do, right? You stay here and it doesn't necessarily go away instantly, and lots of almost everything takes hard work, but there's nothing now that will be the same in 5 years, and nothing that happened 5 years ago is the same now. And so I just need to realize that it's going to be okay. And so the challenge is just that constant reminder that even on the days that are really hard, you just put your head down at the end of the day and go, man, that was a tough day. And then start it again, right? And tomorrow is a new day. It's a new opportunity to change who you are entirely, or keep working on the version of yourself that you're trying to better.
Beautiful message. Very important message. And lastly, what do you think is the meaning of life?
I mean, I really love, honestly. I think that, I think that the meaning of life really is to be kind to others, and really be loving. I think I teach my kids all the time. We talk about just be kind, right? Be kind, say yes, and good things will happen. I think so much of what's, the good fortune, whatever you want to call it, that's happened in my life has been a result of being kind and saying yes. And really, you can't go wrong by being kind to people, right? And kindness is something that people will remember. And whether you worked with somebody 10 years ago and they just, oh yeah, I used to work with that guy, Sadra. He's a nice guy. right? And like people will remember that because you were kind, right? But if you were a jerk, like people will remember that too. And later on in life, you just don't know. I don't know how many times I've come across somebody 15 years later that I could run into in the street and they'll intentionally say hi because I was kind. Right. And I go out of my way to whatever. If I've had great experiences with someone, even if it's just kindness, if I can help somebody who I know is a kind person, I'll do it. And so that kindness, it just goes a long way. And so I think that, really treating somebody the way you would want to be treated is, and being kind, just, it goes a long way, but really, accepting the love yourself, love the people that are in your life that you want in your life, and just appreciate all of the beauty that's around us. And that's how I try to live my life, is all three of those really, and just keep moving forward. And I think that, the meaning of life is to do things that you enjoy, be kind, be respectful, and be loving.
Dylan, it was fantastic speaking to you.
You too, Sadra.
And I wish you all the best in your future endeavors.
Thanks so much. You too.
Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next time.